Hi, American Studies, Miss Hammond here. Today we're going to be talking about conflict in literature. This is our fourth podcast. I thought we'd take a little break from grammar and talk a little bit about the things that we are going to be seeing in our upcoming novel, Johnny Got His Gun. So get your note-taking guide ready. Go ahead and take it out. You will be taking notes during this podcast, and we will use them in class. So I want to just give you a little bit of background information. I know some of you probably learned this stuff in middle school. That's okay. I just want to take a couple of minutes just to give everybody the same background. In a story, the events in that story are called the plot. All right. So the question that we're asking here is, what happened in the story? Okay. I'm going to tell you a little story as we go along. The story that I'm telling you. There's an alligator, okay? So that's first event. An alligator walks in. The second part is the setting, okay? And that's where a story takes place. And the question that this answers is, where did it happen? So in my little story, an alligator is there in a school. And the third part, characters. These are the people in the story. These are the people that we follow. It answers the question, who did it happen to? And an alligator came into a school and ate a kid. Just kidding, it's a fake kid. Actually, it's a real kid, just laughing and screaming. Anyway, let's move on. This should be background information. If you don't know what these things are, take a couple of minutes, watch this again, or come chat with me and I can catch you up. Something that might be new are these two titles that we have for characters, and these titles are used to categorize characters. So we can call them protagonists, which are typically seen as the positive character. We have this root pro, which means good, smiley face, we like them. This is our hero or our heroine. Superman, ultimate protagonist. He's a good guy, always fighting for the right thing. Or a more modern one, Powerpuff Girls. So when we're looking at the other type of character, we have our protagonist and then we have an antagonist. And the root in this word is ant, which means negative, anger face. We don't like them. The antagonist is typically the villain. And for our Powerpuff Girls, Mojo Jojo is our villain. So make sure that you get that down, what a protagonist is, what an antagonist is. So let's quickly talk about the conflict. The conflict is what kind of motivates the plot to happen. So the conflict is when the antagonist and the protagonist come into a relationship and something bad happens. Typically it's bad. And so the way this works is the protagonist is just living their life and something happens to them. For example, cute little girls are watering flowers, just kind of hanging out, living life. Or maybe you're living under a staircase, talking to snakes, maybe weird things happen, or maybe you're just moving to Washington to go to school and live with your dad when your mom's getting remarried. Who knows? But then a problem happens, and this happens in everyone's life. We're walking along, living life, and something happens, and all of a sudden we're faced with a choice. And in stories, this is called our conflict. So usually it's the protagonist, something happens to them, and the problem is usually caused by the antagonist. Let's talk about the antagonist. So the antagonist isn't always evil, but we can generally say that something bad happens. I'll give you a couple of examples here, but first I want to focus on this word antagonist. So antagonize means to bother. All right, something that you might have heard in your household was stop antagonizing your sister. Okay, when you antagonize someone, you're bugging them, you're prodding them, poking them, making life complicated for them. Okay, but consider this: not all problems in stories are caused by other people. I'll give you an example here. The movie Twister. It's not that someone was doing something bad. It's just that an event happened, and something happens to our protagonist. So let's talk about the types of conflict that protagonists can face. The protagonist has a variety of antagonists that might come and give them a hard time. So this might happen in the form of other people or evil wizards. Another example from Tangled, you have characters that just bug you. They make your life hard. They try to keep you in a tower, limit you, or pick fights with you. These are examples of when we are in conflict with other people. Another one is nature. The protagonist can face nature. It makes life hard. The movie Castaway is a perfect example. Guy gets shipwrecked, is forced to face a harsh conditions, which are in nature. Okay. Also, the movie The Perfect Storm. When you're fighting nature, you can't really control it. There are events that happen. It's not because it's evil. It's just because it happens. Next one, technology. The protagonist can face issues of technology. Now, that this can either be because technology is assisting humans or because it's gone rogue. All right, so if technology goes rogue, that's typically bad. They usually don't want to do good things. So the movie I, Robot is an example of that. And the series Battlestar Galactica, it's another example of that. The Cylons, evil robots who decide that they want to kill humanity. Our last one is the self. The protagonist can face an antagonizing force within themselves, trying to make a decision, being left with yourself and trying to deal with yourself. That's an issue. There's a conflict there. This is a picture from 127 Hours where James Franco is a character stuck inside of a mountain and he's pinned there just with himself. So that conflict tends to be pretty interesting because most humans kind of have that going on in their heads all the time. So take a second here, look at these images. We're going to be reading this book, Johnny Got His Gun. There's a couple of images here. I just want you to take a look. Check them out. In the image on the right, I want you to focus at the words on the bottom. As I am, so shall you be. On the left, on the right, I want you to look at the words, Johnny got his gun, and then the big image in the background. What are the fingers doing? So what I want you to do is I want you to make a little prediction. What kind of conflict do you think will be found in Johnny Got His Gun? Is it going to be multiple conflicts? What kind of conflicts do you see? And give me 3 reasons why you think that. Okay? So take some time to work, write down a prediction, and I will collect this on Friday.